Happy Sunday to everybody out there. I'm meteorologist Zach Fridelli here with you, recording this about 5 or 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. So, when we're talking about tropical things, everything's time sensitive. The information moves fast and furious. When we're talking about the tropics, things can change. So just note that if you're starting this video right now. But right now we have our first track out for potential tropical cyclone number 7, which is forecasted to become Tropical Storm Gordon. A few points I want to make off right at the beginning. Lots of questions about, what are my individual impacts, stuff like that. I'm going to go in depth into that. Kind of different parts of the state. I'm going to try and tell you what you can expect from this storm. The good news right now is it's officially not a tropical system just yet. There's a few reasons for that. The first reason is you can see the visible satellite imagery. There's our system. It's right above me in the video, and slowly it's getting the turning going on, but one thing that it lacks right now is an area low pressure at the surface. All of this turning you're seeing is in the upper levels, about 5,000 feet up there. There's probably a circulation going on there, and what it needs now is it needs to consistently produce thunderstorm activity. The more it produces it, eventually that center, or up above the surface, eventually that center will make its way down to the ground level, and that's when we can call this thing an actual tropical cyclone. Again, that's just meteorology talking here. That's no big deal to you. At least we have a track out, and at least we kind of have a forecast to go by and start talking about eventual impacts for the state of Louisiana. Another thing I want to note, look at this thing offshore of southwest Louisiana. This is another area low pressure, and if this had another, say, 24 hours over the Gulf, we'd probably be tracking 2 systems. But thankfully it doesn't. This is going to scoot in later tonight. Heavy rainfall continues to spread inland across southwest Louisiana, south central Louisiana, southeast Louisiana. That is just setting the stage to make the soils very wet, and basically we're going to have more rain coming on top of that as we go over the next few days. So that's something we have to monitor. But right now this is going to get out of the way, and it's going to open the stage for which will probably be Tropical Storm Gordon. It's potential Tropical Cyclone number 7, what will likely become Tropical Storm Gordon to enter the Gulf and move towards Louisiana. As we go over the next 48 hours, we're not talking about a week from now. We're not talking about 3 days from now. We're talking about less than 2 days that this thing will probably be approaching our coastline. So that's something we just have to kind of prepare pretty quickly for. Good news is, well, tomorrow is Labor Day. A lot of people are off, so you can prepare. The bad news is, Labor Day, a lot of people are probably not paying attention to the weather. They're paying attention to family and doing things and being on vacation. So kind of notify everybody. Make sure they know, hey, we possibly have a storm coming. Just want to let you know. Make sure everybody knows just a little bit about the storm, because even the weak ones, and we saw that a few years ago with the major flood in Louisiana in August 2016, it doesn't take a named storm. And the stronger they get, it doesn't exactly, the winds are going to go up, but it doesn't mean the rain's going to be heavier. The weaker storms tend to produce more rain. And, in Louisiana, we really can't deal with a lot of rain in a short period of time. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Right now, there's the center, okay? And they are calling 30 miles per hour. It technically is not even a tropical system. Eventually, they're going to say it's going to upgrade to a tropical system as we head into tomorrow. And once it's near the Florida Straits and the Florida Keys, that's when we're expecting it to become maybe a tropical depression, or could become Tropical Storm Gordon. They have it becoming Tropical Storm Gordon at 40 miles per hour on the other side of the Keys. And then let's time this out. By 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, so just when you're getting back into the swing of things, getting ready for work, heading back to work on Tuesday, we have a tropical storm, a 60 miles per hour tropical storm offshore of Louisiana. And then that storm eventually makes it to a landfall right at the mouth of the river as we go into Tuesday night and Wednesday. This is Wednesday at 2 a.m. National Hurricane Center also notes, and this is kind of one thing that I want to pay attention to, they note that it's probably going to be somewhere, they're officially calling for maybe 65 miles per hour at landfall. 65 miles per hour, that's not, we're not talking about a weak storm. We're talking about a 65 miles per hour tropical storm. That comes into mind, even if you won't have sustained winds of 65 miles per hour, but you'll have gusts possibly to 60. That's enough to knock out power where that center makes landfall. Again, that's not going to penetrate very far inland. We're not talking about a hurricane making landfall, but we always make a point as meteorologists, you always prepare for a category worse. You never go by, oh, they're calling for a 50 miles per hour storm, that's what's coming. this is not how that works. We have very little skill in forecasting intensity, and this is one of those instances you always want to prepare for a category higher. And in this case, you want to prepare for maybe a minimal hurricane. You know, a 60, 65 miles per hour at landfall could easily be 10 more miles per hour, and we could have a minimal hurricane. Most of the models don't see that happening, but you never know. It's the peak of hurricane season. It's that time of year that it doesn't take much for these storms to organize at this time of year, because usually the conditions are ripe for them to organize. Now let's go into the specifics of what you can expect where you live. There's the center of the track. We know it's not going there, okay? It's never going to follow the exact line down the middle of the center of the cone. You always have to watch the full-blown cone, because, you know, if it goes over here, Louisiana sees little to no impact. Big bust forecast. Everybody's yelling, "Oh, y'all call for, you know, a storm," and it went, you know, it didn't even rain. Remember, weaker storms, their left side is going to be weak. And so if it goes to your right in any kind of way, you are not going to see anything for the most part, okay? But that's not where the forecast tracks are taking it. Most of them are taking it right into southeast Louisiana. And if it comes anywhere into, say, Grand Isle, Terrebonne Parish, or right over New Orleans, this is the area from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, you know, back through the North Shore, all the way across southeast Louisiana. There's going to be very heavy rainfall, and there's going to be some pretty good wind gusts that we're going to see some power outages. No, the whole grid's not going to go out, but this kind of track as a 60, 65 miles per hour storm is going to bring some pretty intense wind gusts. And they also, the National Hurricane Center says, this is probably going to be strengthening on approach. A strengthening storm just tends to produce stronger wind gusts. It's just the way it is. If a storm's weakening, it's almost like it pulls its winds back sooner once it goes over land. But a strengthening storm usually produces stronger wind gusts as it moves inland. I know a lot of folks follow me in southwest Louisiana, and you know, from Lafayette to Lake Charles, you know, Fort Polk, DeRidder. What's going on over here? If it follows this track, I think you will see very little impact. Yeah, you're going to get some rain, you're going to get a little bit of wind, but for the most part, it's the right side of the storm that you're concerned about. Now, like I said, it's not going to follow that track exactly. What if it comes in at a little bit different trajectory and does that? We're not talking about much of a difference here between the two tracks, but this makes a huge difference in as far as rainfall goes, because this would produce very heavy rainfall across much of southwest Louisiana. And I'm going to show you a computer model that sort of follows the track of the National Hurricane Center, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So right now, we don't know exactly the trajectory it's going to come inland. If it goes inland right here, yes, most of Louisiana escapes anything significant. It would be a non-event, and you know, the memes on Facebook would be all over the place. Hey, you know, of a little branch, you know, falling from a tree. Hey, the storm, we survived, you know, Gordon. We hope that happens, because then that means we get by with very little impact. But if it goes anywhere like a trajectory like this, much of the state is going to be susceptible to heavy rainfall just because of that trajectory. And once it gets up here, say in northern Louisiana, I know I'm getting off the screen up here. Once it gets into northern Louisiana, it's going to slow down considerably, okay? And when it slows down, once it's north, I'm going to show you what could potentially happen here down south. Even though the storm's inland, no longer a tropical system, but we still might have to be worrying about the prospects for some heavy rainfall. Now, what I wanted to point out here is this is the Canadian model. And if anybody's a weather guru, a weather geek, you're like, why is Zach showing the Canadian? The Canadian follows along you know, the forecast track of the National Hurricane Center pretty closely. It might be a little bit to the left, but it's close. And I wanted to draw your attention to how it plays out with the rain. This is a good way to kind of interpret it to you, how the rain could play out. You can see as it crosses, you know, the Gulf of Mexico. We're going into Tuesday night now. So getting close to midnight Tuesday night into Wednesday, notice the heavy rain spreading inland across southeast Louisiana, up the mouth of the river. All of southeast Louisiana would be inundated by multiple inches. We're talking probably, you know, 2 to 4 inches widespread, with 6+ for many areas across southeast Louisiana if this track holds true. You notice how the heavy rainfall, but we're talking Wednesday afternoon, spreading towards Baton Rouge area, Lafayette area. That's the areas that start to get that heavy rainfall according to the Canadian model. And then eventually, once the storm gets farther north, okay, moving inland, it's weakening. You know, the surface circulation's up here, kind of following the boot of Louisiana. Look how it's got this banding that extends back down. This is when we might have to worry in southwest Louisiana. Once the storm is far inland, the heaviest rain might be coming to southwest Louisiana. So It all depends on that exact trajectory. If it comes in like this, we got a problem. If it comes in like this, southwest Louisiana might be spared. If it goes like this, which the GFS is a little more to the right, GFS usually has a right bias though, it goes more so the Louisiana-Mississippi border and moves into Mississippi, then most of Louisiana gets by with nothing. So that is the problem that we're trying to face right now. Exactly how that trajectory unfolds moving into Louisiana. Some areas could get a lot of rain. Some areas can get some pretty good wind gusts too. That's going to knock out power, while other areas don't see much. That is the tough call right now. But like I said, the whole state is still under the gun for the potential of some heavy rainfall. That's for sure. Southwest Louisiana, I'm feeling better. You won't see much in the way of wind. Even if it does take a more southerly trajectory, the wind, it will be inland, so the wind's going to be coming down at that point, but it's something we'll continue to watch. So what do you need to know? Prepare for a category higher. That tropical storm watch is in effect from Morgan City all the way to the Mississippi, no, to the Alabama-Florida border. That includes the city of New Orleans. So in these areas, within 48 hours, we're going to see tropical storm force conditions. Expect heavy rainfall, multiple inches of rain, and also expect some wind gusts, possibly as high as, 60, 70 miles per hour. That will take down some trees. That will create some power outages in those areas of southeast Louisiana and coastal Mississippi. Southwest Louisiana, you don't have to worry so much of that. You're not included in the tropical storm watch. You don't have to worry so much about the wind, but how the storm reacts once it moves inland, it could try to scoot, more westerly in closer to Alexandria, up the boot of Louisiana. That's when I think southwest Louisiana might have to worry about some of those bands as they come out of the Gulf of Mexico. Some of those heavy bands could set up across that portion of the state and provide heavy rain for you. And also remember, anytime you have these tropical bands, you can always get tornadoes. There's always the potential for isolated tornadoes. So what do you need to do? You have about a day, to prepare. We don't have much time. Southwest Louisiana residents, continue to monitor the forecast. Everybody, monitor the forecast throughout the day on Labor Day. Check back multiple times because these things can and will change, and we just have to watch things very closely. I'll continue to keep you updated on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm all over the place, and I'll continue to provide these video updates. I'm meteorologist Zach Fridella. Everybody have a great Sunday night and have a good Labor Day holiday, but remember, watch the weather very closely.